From just a few individual flyers to piles found in driveways and yards, people tell us they are finding flyers that are apparently from the Ku Klux Klan in several Corbin neighborhoods. They talk about being on the lookout for drugs or criminal activity, but people say that the source is very disturbing. Michael Jones says he was walking through his neighborhood yesterday near 5th Street and Lee Avenue when he says he saw a bunch of folded up papers. He says to him they looked like love letters that kids would pass at school, but when he opened it up, he was shocked to discover it was from the KKK. It mentioned Trinity White Knights with a drawing of someone in the Ku Klux Klan outfit and telling people to report crime. Jones was among the many who say this kind of literature is very unwelcome.
Altogether, it's garbage. And I feel like that when they come to our town, if they suggest or even insinuate that they're going to do anything, that they should be escorted out of town.
A spokesperson for Corbin Police tells me that they're not sure if these flyers are actually from the Ku Klux Klan or possibly just someone who's found these, printed them off the internet, and is trying to stir up some trouble. In Corbin, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.